Hello, everybody. This is Politics with Avi, and I'm Avi. I'm really happy to see you once again here on my channel. If you do like my videos and you find them interesting, and of course, you think that you learn from them, then do press the like button and do subscribe. Thank you very much for that. Now, today I'm going to be teaching you a little bit more about, guess what, politics, because this is what I do. So today's episode is episode 29, and it's called Political Management: Concept, Essence, Functions. The main types of political management style, their features, and possible consequences. As I did mention before, this is compiled work from different sources, mainly material that was in Russian, which I translated myself and am reading out to you. Plus, I also am adding things from my own perspective in many instances, and I do hope that it's of great help to all of you. So, let's start with political administration. The adoption and implementation of political decisions form the inner side of the mechanism of reproduction of the political system. They are caused by the need to realize the political and administrative tasks existing in society. The choice of the centers for making these decisions, as well as the goals and means indicated in them, the ways and stages of correlating the requirements of a particular political task with the conditions for its implementations, are dictated by the interests and will of the economically and politically dominant forces. Any political decision is made by people to resolve a specific political situation. If we proceed from the fact that political activity is a consistent, internally connected chain of political events and phenomena, as well as a combination of actions of various political subjects, then the political decision is the starting point, the trigger mechanism of all events and actions. In short, political activity at any level and any scale begins with a political decision. And because of how thoughtful and accurate a political decision is, the success or failure of a political figure, the reputation of political institutions and organizations depends. A political decision is a process of determining the tasks of a political action carried out in a collective or individual form, the choice of a specific program that identifies the purpose, stages, methods, and practical steps to achieve them. A political solution is always a complex dialectical process, starting with the appearance of a political problem and ending with its resolution, removal. A political decision is also a way to realize the interests of participants in political events. The political process is the interaction of certain political positions, carriers of relevant views, performers of various political roles. Their implementation is possible through the implementation of certain political measures, actions based on political decisions. One of the tasks of political decisions is the resolution of conflict political situations. As an effective means of resolving political conflicts, a political solution often prevents the conflict from developing into an acute, implacable, or even worse, armed stage. So one of the most important of things in politics, in any ideology or system of governments, or one of the most important things that it should be, is prevention. Prevention is extremely important, not just in the political realm, but also in many other fields. A political decision is a conscious choice by the subject of activity of the option of many of possible. Moreover, the adoption of a political decision is due to the dialectic of concepts such as freedom and responsibility. The higher the status of the decision maker in the hierarchy of participants in political events, the higher the degree of his freedom in choosing options for action. However, this also means a higher level of his social responsibility for the option he has chosen. For instance, my father, who is an anti and counter-terrorist, he has made a great emphasis on the prevention, insecurity, and counter-terror. And for example, for him, not having different mechanisms within the police force, the military police force, the military, that's out of line. For him as a professional, it's very important to have all sorts and areas of mechanisms for prevention in all of these different institutions, whether it's the Ministry of Defense, let's say, or a local police station. And by bearing upon himself so many responsibilities as to be an activist and also enforcing prevention, he also has had a lot of social responsibility, personally exposing many different abuses, crimes, and other things like this. A democracy allows for its citizens and its professionals to be able to express their professional opinion and have it taken in consideration. Democracy is supposed to, as my father also says, it's supposed to have its own checks and balances, which are supposed to perfect the system constantly. So it's very interesting, because the thing about social responsibility is that sometimes it has a very heavy weight, and more often than not, also fighting against corruption is very, very difficult. But for the worthwhile of it, it's very helpful for everybody, because once the system recalibrates itself and improves, then the standard of life for everybody improves as well. Anyway, let's continue on with the information here. A political decision is also an active, willful effort by the decision maker to achieve the said goal. In politics means to meet the possible opposition of other participants in political events, therefore to envisage the manifestation of significant, strong-willed efforts to implement. A political decision also implies the possibility of applying sanctions against those entities, individuals, groups, organizations that do not recognize the obligations imposed on them by these goals. A political decision is a complex dialectical interweaving of the objective and subjective in the political process. Almost always, a political decision has to be made in condition of a high degree of emotional tension caused, on the one hand, by the lack of time for a calm and thorough study of all aspects of the problem and assessment of the possible consequences of the solution, on the other hand, by pressure from groups interested in a particular solution. So, types of political decisions. The whole variety of political decisions can be divided into 5 types. 1. Laws and regulations of the highest authorities. 2. Decisions of local authorities. 3. Decisions taken directly by citizens. 4. Decisions of the highest bodies of political parties and public organizations. 5. Decisions of local bodies of political parties and public organizations. As you can see, the first and second types of decisions are made by representative and executive authorities, the third directly by the population, the fourth and fifth by non-governmental organizational structures of the political system. Decisions made directly by citizens can be both general importance, elections of the highest authorities, referenda, and local scale elections to local authorities, general meetings of residents. Decisions made at all levels may have a different number of addresses for whom certain political actions are planned. Decisions of the supreme authority determine the content of actions both in relation to the citizen both in relation to the system of authorities and the external environment. Recall that by the external environment we understand all the elements of the social organism as well as the international community. Decisions made by political parties, public organizations, and groups may relate to their actions in relation to representative and executive bodies of power, non-governmental public structures, as well as any other elements of the social system. For example, a party's decision may determine the party's position on a particular social problem in relation to state bodies and its officials, to other political parties or public organizations, to certain social groups. Different types of political decisions are characterized by different levels of integration of social interests. The objective of the political decision taken by you at the Gillette level in the power system is the harmonization of diverse class and group interests, general social, whereas the purpose of the local level is primarily in conjunction with a local general social interest. Thus, decisions of both levels are, as a rule, interconnected, coordinated with each other. By the way, since I did mention my father, who's a counter-terrorist and a anti-terrorist, I also wanted to mention the fact that, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but because of him, I decided to actually get higher levels of degrees, since he's a doctor professor in national and international security, counterterror, and I have always seen him as an inspiration for myself to continue on with my studies and to defend a PhD degree and everything else. So yeah, anyway, this was today's lesson from Politics with Avi. I'm Avi. Thank you for being with me. I'm sorry for being so unprofessional today and talking about my personal life. But thank you all for listening. I hope this lecture was helpful. I wish you all the best.